Steady.
I don't know what that's from.
I'm not proud to say.
I am. Wait.
It's from a certain Star Wars episode. Steady.
Oh, is it from episode 1?
Jar Jar.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
what a loser.
Jar Jar.
I'm not a fan of that guy.
Yeah. Have you seen there's a bunch of like fan theories about how Jar Jar Binks actually was like an evil Sith Lord and how like
I believe it.
his actions led to the destruction of the Republic or the Senate.
What?
Yeah, and like basically like he was somehow responsible for Queen Amidala's destruction. It's like a 45-minute long YouTube
Dude,
video.
I totally
it's
believe
ridiculous,
it. He's
but,
evil.
Yeah. But hey guys, welcome to Testing Normal. This is Curtis.
And this is Jordan.
And this is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything we want to.
Yeah, buddy.
And this is episode number 40.
40. I was going to try to say it together with you.
0.
4
0.
0.
That's what it is. 4-0, guys. We're proud to be brought to you by Campbell's Soup, the best soup around for anyone that's hungry and wants some extra sodium. Campbell's Soup. Sodium. Check it out at your local grocery store or Rainbow Foods.
It's like the one thing that my doctor will always hit me with. It's like I'm not like the super picture of health, but I'm a lot healthier than probably 99% of his patients, customers,
sure,
whatever. And he's like, "How's your sodium? How's your sodium intake?" Screw you, dude. I'm doing fine. Maybe you have some weight to lose.
It's just an old school kind of mentality, basically.
Super
I mean, there are
old.
times when it definitely is applicable, but if someone's a really healthy individual, it's not really something that's.
I need sodium. That's the problem. If I don't like keep my salt intake up, I can feel it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a helpful electrolyte, man.
Yeah.
Dude, so this week, guys, we have a topic that we're going to kind of run down, and
because it's just us, and we're going to try to keep it a little shorter.
Yeah, we're going to try to keep it a little bit shorter this episode, and it's kind of a hot topic that's politically, one might say, charged, but I feel like it's an important topic because it is a pressing matter that I feel like a lot of lives are at stake. And a lot of individuals are hurting because of this specific situation that's taking place. And it kind of came to the forefront a little bit for me. Like, I've known about this, and we've mentioned it in the past on other episodes.
Quite a bit, actually.
But it came to kind of the forefront of my mind again when I was reading this article. And there's this app called TikTok.
Oh, my gosh.
This app is basically like
Haley's been trying to figure out TikTok.
Yeah, has she? It's basically like it's like YouTube, but it's shorter videos, and it's people that will either do like a funny action or movement. Sometimes there's sound behind it, or it's someone just talking behind a camera and doing something silly or trying to present something that they want to. But recently,
is this your first link?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just gonna bring it up.
Yeah, it's great. Last week, a 17-year-old, she's part Afghani, part American, so Afghan-American young woman. She's 17, and she made a 40-second video, basically.
Oh, I did see this get banned. I didn't see that it got put back.
It was titled like her showing like eyelash tutorial, how to curl your eyelashes. And she did that so that way TikTok wouldn't take her down really quick. But essentially, her entire video was saying, hey, this is how you do your eyelashes, but hey, also you guys need to look into what's going on in China right now, the concentration camps, and there's millions of people that are under persecution right now. And it was this like kind of sharp transition in the video.
Well, I mean, there's an obvious tie between eyelashes and Chinese.
Right. Yeah, there's always
concentration camps.
A connection there. But she's like saying, use your phone, look up what's happening in China. They're, separating families. They're kidnapping them. They're murdering, raping them. And I was thinking about this. I was like, you know what? I have not seen much social media presence talking about this issue.
It is interesting.
And I haven't seen it even in the news, like CNN, Yahoo. Like, this is not a topic that is really coming to the forefront of media. However, the fact that this girl got taken off of TikTok, that kind of piqued the media interest a little bit. And I was looking into it a little bit more, and what's interesting is TikTok is actually owned by a Chinese company.
No,
it is.
Okay,
and
not
they
super
were
shocked by
so TikTok. Would you say it's a subsidiary of a Chinese company? Anyways, they're owned by a Chinese company. But
A parent
a couple
company is in
things that's
China.
interesting about that. One, TikTok is banned in China. So it's owned by a
Well,
Chinese company.
There's a ton of things that are banned in China that are made in China.
But it's yeah. What I don't know. What are some
Well,
things
there's
that
a lot
are
of
made in China that are banned?
there's places that like you can't like just get an iPhone out of Apple. Like people will smuggle Apple products back into China.
I know they
So-
have counterfeit Apple products,
Yeah.
obviously, but anyhow, so the company then was saying actually they had to do this big kind of PR thing saying because they took down this girl's TikTok
Video,
and it
yeah.
was like big controversy because they're like, well, TikTok, why are you taking down this girl's video? Like she didn't do
Right.
anything. It was nothing wrong that she was saying other than the fact she was trying to bring attention to this concerning issue.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, it's because TikTok is owned by China or by a Chinese
By a
corporation.
Chinese company.
And the company basically was like, no, we took it down because she had some previous articles where she had shown some terrorists and she had shown images of terrorist leaders and she was like,
It baffles
commenting
me
on
that that's what companies come back with, as if we don't have like historical data showing that they're lying.
Right, exactly. And so they eventually they canceled her whole account. They canceled her TikTok account.
So not just the video,
Yeah,
her account was gone.
And then so she reached out on other platforms and saying, hey guys, TikTok took me off because I was even mentioning this whole entire crazy Chinese detention camps.
That's
that
a
are going
big
on.
deal.
That's a big deal. And so everybody started, reaching out and commenting to TikTok, and basically they're like, okay, we will reactivate her account. So you got to wonder, like, if they're a Chinese company that's
Yeah.
taking down, comments about these concentration camps, there has to be some validity to them.
So-
and that's one. And I have a bunch more that I want to say about. That
Yeah, no, I want you
research
to
I've
say
done,
more about
but-
that, but it's just I don't even have this article linked, I don't think, or in our notes at all. But it's similar. Russia just passed a law that said that after a certain date, there's no like electronic items that have software on them that can be sold within Russia that don't have Russian-made software on them.
Right, Russia passed a law.
They passed a law for that. So, like, for instance,
Electronics
so
have to
people
have
would be like,
Russian
well, what does that
software.
mean? It's like, well, that means that there would have to be Russian-made software on any iPhone sold in Russia.
Right.
They want their claws in that.
Yeah.
Same type of deal as what China's kind of trying to do by controlling this.
Yeah.
Because as there's some other articles I think that we're going to get to about the whole China thing that are very, very similar and really just trying to control.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a broader issue, but in a way, social media is kind of taking away a lot of social freedoms.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in a way that people don't even really notice or care really, because they're like, who cares? Whatever, you want the software, okay, you can see where I'm at. However, that's the ramifications are if there was some big social upheaval or some type of revolution that tried to take place, then you have a whole lot of power in a government.
Freaky.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
To know where you're at, what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're doing. Anyways.
Right.
So the people that the Chinese government are helping to, and what they're calling them is re-education centers.
Which they've been calling them that for years.
Yeah, they're calling them re-education camps. Okay. And according to the United Nations, more than 1 million of these Chinese, and what they're called, it's a weird word. It's spelled Uighur, and it's pronounced Uyghurs.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So about 1 million of these Chinese Uyghurs Muslims are currently in these re-education camps.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, over 1 million. And what's interesting though is a lot of these research companies and journalists have actually in the past several months been doing research into what is actually happening on these camps. Like, why can't we get into these camps? Why is nobody coming out of these camps? And there was some super sketchy, crazy stuff that's been found out.
I was gonna say there was a lot of what was proven years back that they were actually taking organs from people.
Exactly. So yes,
and that's come up again recently.
So and everybody knows their favorite conspiracy theorist, Alex Jones, of course.
He's the one that called this a long time ago.
He called it. He was the one that first kind of brought it to at least the U.S. attention.
Which, I mean, he's okay. Let's just be super real for a second. The dude has said a lot of crazy shit,
Right.
But But at the same time, like, I don't know, if you want to have a really good time and lose your mind, go listen to the Joe Rogan episode that he last did with him.
Yeah.
I had to take it in 30-minute bites because it was so much.
Yeah.
And there was so much craziness, but at the same time, within it, it's like, oh my gosh, that might be real. Like, and that's scary.
Yeah. And guys, we have a lot of these documents that we'll link that you can see the stuff that we're talking about. But it's really interesting. In 2015, there was these documents that they found, and through this illegal organ extraction, basically, that was taking place in China, it was over $1 billion each year that the Chinese government was obtaining from this illegal, or in their land, it's not illegal, but it was forced extractions of organs from these re-education camps and individuals.
Right.
And now what they were saying is that China insists that no, all of these forced extractions have stopped, but what it now is, it's voluntary donations replacing forced organs. So from prisoners. So now they're saying, no. We're re-educating these prisoners, these Muslims, and we're offering them the opportunity to volunteer because of how much they love the Chinese people and our culture, to volunteer to donate these organs.
Right. That's terrifying.
Oh, what? So I mean, the simple fact that how is this not being like concentration camps? Okay, Germany, Jewish persecution.
Right. We should have learned from this.
How is this not something that is bringing the entire world together to force China to stop this? Like, it's baffling me. I don't understand how this is not a major issue.
You've got this going on, and the whole
issue?
Hong Kong thing. Like,
It's
people
maddening.
saying that we want our freedom, and we want it now. And then all these companies bowing to this. TikTok's not the only one. Like, we could single out TikTok all night long, but Apple has changed maps for now Russia, showing that they own different land that they don't. Like, they just changed Apple Maps this last week for like a neutral zone. And then they took apps off of the thing. They took vape apps off because of this craze of people not,
well, that was just social pressure.
It was, but these social media things. And I was looking for an article that I did not link, but it was basically like a study on what social media has done for us. It hasn't been a positive thing, which is, I think we've all known. I think it could be. I think there are some positive things. I don't think it's all bad, but it's caused this odd behavior. And it almost seems like with these social companies now that every country kind of is trying to work their way into being able to control it because they realize how much control that they have.
Well, how much access they have to
not
their
just
entire
that, they really do have
population.
control because they can sway that 1% that matter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, access, which then leads to control.
Right.
Yeah.
Then they know who that person is.
Right. Exactly. So getting back a little bit to these Uyghurs, individual Muslims that are being
I think you should
persecuted.
say it different every single time.
Uyghurs. So there was a memo. Yeah, there was a memo that was released that they were actually BBC was able to get a copy of.
Yeah.
Pertaining to one of these camps, and these were the orders that were delivered to this camp, and it kind of like some of the principles that these camps are supposed to abide by. I'm going to read these off to you, some of these things. So the memo includes orders to never allow escapes. Like that in and of itself right there, in a re-education camp, if it's a voluntary thing, why would you ever have something saying never allow escapes? So that was the number one thing. Number two.
I mean, you could say that it might be a direct. I'm just trying to give it, playing the benefit, give it the benefit of the doubt. Calling it a re-education camp, maybe what it translates for us, like we call prisons like No, but
that's what the Chinese people use in English to try to justify the camp
but
itself.
To me, maybe it's just a really poor translation so that they kind of get by with it.
Because somebody had said there was the UK Chinese diplomat they had broached this subject to him about these camps, and he was saying, no, these camps are for re-education because they don't like the Muslim population because they have fear of the Muslim population.
We would call prisons like rehabilitation,
Yeah.
And so it sounds really similar to make it sound better, but they know it's not.
Yeah. Right.
I guess I'm not trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I guess I'm trying to say maybe it's like they're causing it to be a gray area.
Yeah.
Because when people hear re-education camps, they think, okay, well, maybe it's some people that were causing some problems.
It's a better PR sound.
Yeah,
for sure. So the other things that this
although
memo
concentration
released,
camps, I never got that. It was like, just people sitting around thinking about things.
very concentrated
Yeah.
area, very dense. Increased discipline and punishment of behavioral violations. That's the next thing that they need to abide by. Promote repentance and confession. So repentance for their religious beliefs,
Yeah.
and confession towards their discretion and their lack of national pride
right.
towards the Chinese government. Next, make remedial Mandarin studies the top priority. So
What?
Mandarin studies, so that they have to speak the Mandarin language.
Okay.
Encourage students to truly transform. And then the
Versus
last,
what?
to truly transform
I mean, versus
in a way
not
of
truly
like
transforming.
other than just, I guess, shutting down. Like they're saying, like, we really want you to become a Chinese citizen and
I see.
and
Okay.
give up your religious beliefs as well as your cultural,
Right.
upbringing.
The
And then
whole
the
thing
last one
just
of the
sounds
memo was to
terrifying.
say, ensure full video surveillance coverage of dormitories and classrooms free of all blind spots. So
What?
this is just like, it's just chaos. It's crazy. Like the fact that this is not being
Right.
covered more. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm blown away by the lack of humanity and care for this
Right.
travesty that's taking place. So that's something I wanted to really bring to people's attention this week and just say, hey, start talking about it, man. The amount that people talk about vaccines and anti-vaccination,
Oh my gosh.
if they would talk about this same subject
Oh yeah.
and put pressure on the Chinese government, and
they think that
not-
it
not
wouldn't,
just
but
the
if it's
Chinese
enough
government,
pressure that they ask for the companies to pull this stuff down, that's the thing. People would say
Yeah.
like, well, what am I going to do about it? Well, this girl probably did a lot to bring light to it.
Oh yeah,
Just
we're talking
fixing her
about it because
eyelashes.
of what she
Yeah.
did. Yeah, and it's not so much even for it to directly impact the Chinese government as much
Right.
to indirectly impact the surrounding countries and the countries that China depends on,
Right.
like Russia, their main boo, their main buddy bud. Yeah, that would be the next major step, I think.
Well, and then we were talking about this right before we went live, is they have just created a law. Like, so number one, that we talked about the whole gaming banning, like the amount of hours that younger kids can play, and they probably should play less than they do, but based on age. But now they've created this law.
Who's they?
So China.
Okay,
They-
I didn't know that they made a gaming banning.
Yeah, they did. So they set the amount of hours. I think it's 90 minutes a day that a kid can play
Like,
video games.
what by how do they enforce that?
That's what I was going to go through. That's what I was going to step into next. So they put that into, and they said 4 hours a day on the weekend or something like that, or 2 hours
Okay.
on the weekend or something like that. I could be completely wrong on all of that. I put it in some of our show notes a few weeks
That's
back.
crazy.
But they also, like, instead of using like usernames, so like when we game, like I have MacBook Pro AR, you're Vocal,
Mhm.
a couple other friends, they have names that aren't their own, and some people have their own name that, but they will be, I don't know if they're being required or suggested at first to use their own names as online usernames for games
Okay.
to track them. But then this week they've put out everyone who buys a cell phone in China has to have their face scanned,
Yeah.
so that they are now in the system so they can track who's on the internet.
But I was thinking about that a little bit. Obviously, it's another form of government control, but
I just
not-
don't understand
not
what
all-
they're so afraid of.
But not all cell phones have the capacity to do facial scanning.
No. They scan at the store. They're scanning their face to put them into the system as registering on the internet.
Ooh.
I mean, this is like we're stepping into
It's not the phones. Okay.
a freaking crazy world where they're wanting to make sure that it'd be like the same as you getting fingerprinted
Right.
to buy your phone.
Yeah. Right.
But as we've seen with Hong Kong, people are putting on masks and everything, which is against the law because they have facial recognition cameras that are put up everywhere so that they can capture those who are protesting. That's why they're wearing all the masks. And so now in China, they're requiring everyone who gets a cell phone to get their face scanned into the system
It's scary.
so that they can now be tracked and attached to that device.
That's so scary.
So not only could they track your phone, say this is the phone that was nearby, they could pull it up and show the authorities like, hey, this is what they look like.
That's insane. Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude. So China's doing some sketchy stuff. Obviously, the U.S. does their sketchy stuff, but a little bit more subtly, I think.
Yeah.
And we have a few more checks and balances, which help to protect the people's rights. But it's still a scary situation when you see a country that has that much power starting to have that much control over their people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Obviously, Buh.
Not a big fan of governmental control.
Yeah, that's
So.
definitely. I see some Ron Swanson in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways you could go. We could chat about that forever. It's like I think that there are good rules and fences to put up, and there are ones that go too far.
Yeah.
And I think people get hung up on the arguments that don't matter a lot.
Totally.
Usually it revolves around, I mean, what do you think, what pushes a country to end up in this spot? I mean, obviously this has been 1,000-year or thousands of years
I think
getting to where they're at.
I think they're, and I'm not an expert in this by any means, I'll admit.
No,
but
neither one of us
think the way their government is set up, I think a communist society, that's the only way it can go.
Yeah.
In some way. Like if you're a communist society, essentially the government has to have control of everything in order to quote unquote provide the
from the outside though.
Services.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but my perspective from the outside is these guys are freaking out. Like they're fearful. The leaders are.
Well,
the Chinese leaders have got to be.
I think that
so
they're
fearful of losing control.
I think they're aggressively controlling.
Yeah, but those only reason that people do that is because they have a fear of losing control. And I think that I think that kind of what's pushed this is that they realize.
I think they've seen
Control is a facade to begin with. Number
Yeah.
one, so we think that we have control over situations, and largely we don't.
I think that they've seen what the outside world is doing.
They
and
see
that-
Hong Kong. That's
they
what I was
see
going to
Hong
get
Kong.
at. And they're going to be like, whoa, if we
Yeah.
don't do something. But here's the problem.
And they see Venezuela.
And I think that they
see
don't.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
Having being a communist society.
But I think what's going to happen, I think in our lifetime, doing this is going to make it worse for them. Because think about it. Think about a rebellious child. The more that you push them, the more that they rebel. Like the answer is rarely
this is what I want to
coming down on
I was
them
thinking
hard.
about this. In the United States, there's certain things that we do that we have done for a long time that we're like, oh, now we don't even care. Like the government has this aspect of it, but we've kind of become desensitized to it. Like fingerprints. Like most people, and I was thinking about this.
But I don't think that's always bad. I don't think that in a lot of cases the fingerprints
it's
is
a
bad.
form of identification.
Yes.
So they can catch you if you do a crime.
Sometimes, but sometimes it's to let your family know that you're dead. So,
Right.
like in the military, I had to get fingerprinted.
Right.
Everyone did.
But there's certain people that don't. Here's the deal. Certain people that don't have to have their fingers printed.
True.
Or copied.
Yeah. Copied.
Yeah.
So,
anyways,
mimeographed.
Yeah, there you go. There's certain people, but in China, basically, I mean, to be in most society today, you got to have a phone.
Yeah.
At least in the United States, and I assume that's similar in China.
I think that what this will do is push people to do things like they've been doing this whole time. People think like, well, man, people in China can't get in the outside world. Dude, they're using stuff that we're now starting to use in the States, which is like VPNs and stuff. I mean, the guy that did the presentation for their Great Firewall of China, actually called that, he had to use a VPN to do his own presentation because it's too locked down.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's just explain this to the people out there, VPNs, a little bit.
Yeah.
How is it that even when China has this great firewall,
Yeah.
how is it that VPNs still work? How is it that a VPN does not like?
So just like
get
really
blocked?
really basic, because it gets, you could get really really far into the weeds. So a VPN, what it does is it creates a tunnel from one point to another, and then uses that point that you've connected to as your connection to the outside world. So some VPNs could go down if China were to block certain addresses. So
Right.
every location on the internet, every computer that's connected to the internet has what's called an IP address, or anyway, so it's an IP address. So it's like your address to your house. One person has it,
Yeah.
or things go wrong. We've all been on Google Maps when things are similar and you end up, across the country versus in your own town. Like there can be a matching street, but the city's different, all that kind of stuff. So same thing works on the internet. Those IPs could be banned. So some VPN services will rotate internet addresses
Yeah.
constantly because China will ban those IP addresses. They'll figure out the bank of IPs that a VPN is using, and then they'll block those to those users. But if they keep rotating them, they don't know.
But isn't the internet access being provided through a specific Chinese company?
It is, but the way that works is, so like when you look up someone's address, say you go in like old school style, you know the person's name, and you go to
Yellow
a phone book.
Yeah.
And you look it up and you're like, oh, there's their phone number. That's how the internet works too. So when you go out, it goes to a name server that takes, it says, oh, you're going to www.google.com.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to look that up in the phone book. Here's the address. Here you go. So when you set up a VPN, you're using a new name server that's going through a different tunnel.
Okay.
And so you're searching on a name server that's way outside of your country.
Yeah.
So you can, we were watching the fights the other night, and I couldn't get to a website that was being advertised on the UFC channel. It was Tab, and I was like, that Tab Cola? I mean, it's been gone for a long time. Turns out it's a betting site in Australia.
Yeah.
That's blocked to the United States. And it's not the United States is filtering it out. It's that they know that U.S. people aren't allowed to bet online, and so that they don't want to get...
Are we still not allowed to bet online?
No, for sports and stuff.
What?
So... well, some states I think you can, but I don't think you can't. But it said in your locale you can't connect to this. Well, I pulled up the VPN app on my phone, hit connect to Australia, and then went back to the website, and it pulled up just fine. I was like, oh, it's an Australian betting site.
Oh, that's interesting.
But they're just covering their butts, and not causing problems with the U.S. and allowing people to come in, because you can tell, because people buy banks of IP addresses.
Right.
So. Anyway,
that's crazy. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes more sense.
So, but they rotate those all the time. So that's how people in China get out, and they can do different things.
Yeah, that seems important. That seems like
the only way that China
that'd be
could
really
be
bummer if they didn't.
That China
have
could be
VPNs.
100% safe is if they cut off ties to the rest of the world on the internet, and they had their own internet that was completely controlled.
Right,
that's the way that's the
They'd
only
have
way
to have a
any
Pied
country could do
Piper.
it. There's way too many smart people in this world that will continue to create apps to get around it.
Yeah.
They've been doing it since the beginning, and they're not going to stop anytime soon.
Dude, so guys, we wanted to hit that main issue with you all tonight. Do you have anything else big you want to do, or you want to bump into TILs and showers?
I don't think so. My main thing was like China scanning people's faces.
Yeah, that's
the
insane.
harvesting organs was on mine.
Yep. Those are some of the major ones.
Along the same line, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but the Chinese government has told the U.S. and Britain to stop interfering in Hong Kong affairs.
Right.
So,
No, I talked about that last week, I think. Or a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
And completely off topic, a vote to federally legalize marijuana is going through in the United States.
Right. Yeah, that is an interesting situation. We'll see if it actually gets through the Senate.
I think it will.
And then
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Okay, so today I learned. I'm going to throw some today I learned.
Do it.
And then we'll share the shower thoughts, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Today I learned Raiders of the Lost Ark was originally going to have an elaborate fight scene between Indiana Jones and a master swordsman. Remember that scene?
Yeah.
But Harrison Ford was ill, so they just had Indy pull out a gun and shoot the dude instead because he was sick.
Oh
I didn't know
my
that. I didn't
gosh.
know like they just said, "Oh, well, I'm sick."
That's
Let's just shoot
super
him.
funny.
So I didn't know that. You got a TIL? I'm gonna
I do.
back and forth.
Yeah. Today I learned, or when I put this in here, I learned the thief of America's first bank robbery, who stole the sum of $162,821, was caught because he deposited the money back into the same bank.
So smart.
Super smart.
So
guy.
smart. Yeah. He's like, guys, I'm gonna take care of you. Listen, I know someone stole your money. Let me put some back in there real quick. Get a good interest rate.
Yeah.
Today I learned that ninjas avoided garlic or any pungent food to prevent their body odor from being detected by enemies when hiding.
What?
Yeah. Which is actually true. There is some esters or whatever when you're eating, you actually can excrete some of those odors a little bit easier.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. Like onions, I think.
Today I learned
Garlic.
that 4 out of 5 members of Congress continued to drink alcohol during the Prohibition.
Totally believe that.
Oh, I do too, because I don't know how many of them probably still smoke weed.
Well, and I'm sure there's many congressmen that are doing far more than just
Yeah,
cannabis and
yeah.
alcohol.
Let's be real.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
I'm sure the little
Well,
little white
Here's
pixie
a
dust
fun
right there.
little fact that our
little
war on drugs has
bump,
caused.
bump.
I don't know how many people when I was serving in the military that didn't smoke weed but did like cocaine and stuff on 3-day weekends because they knew that they could just have it out of their system by Monday when we can have a P test.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Do they do P test to every single person?
Yep.
That came back from. They always did P test to every person.
Oh, they would have mandatories like every few months.
Every few months.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
All right, so shower thought here. I'm gonna start off with a little bit of potty humor, but I thought about this,
Do it,
and
do
I
it,
have
do
thought
it.
about this. Like
I have
genuinely.
so many shower thoughts and I'm so excited.
Yeah. So, if you're sitting on a toilet and taking a dump, okay,
It took us nearly 45 minutes to get to poop.
get to poop. So, but if you're sitting on
Y'all
a
should be
toilet,
proud of us.
and taking a dump, and it's like 11:59 p.m. on New Year's Eve, and that poop takes you a minute and a half. You literally have been pooping for 2 years.
Well, it would be like in 2 years.
You've been pooping over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
That's such a cool thought.
Let's do
so
it.
you
Let's
know
do
where,
it.
you
Let's
know
do
where
it.
I'm going to be New Year's Eve, ladies and gentlemen, on the the porcelain throne.
I had a friend who worked at a church, and it had 2 toilets that were right next to each other with no wall.
That's hilarious. Are you sure it wasn't a bidet?
Dude, I'm freaking for sure.
Because
Bidets did not exist when this church was built.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Yeah, it
right.
was. I mean, it was. And it would be like your legs would be touching. They weren't just like. They were.
Wait, and but the craziest thing is that they were in front of each other.
No,
like
that-
one was
that
one
would-
was
that would
directly
put
placed
you
in front of the other.
Dude, there was a latrine when I was in the military that was like round robin style, like just toilet, like, but it was like a porta potty, and you were facing the people across the aisle that would be taking a dump too. I mean, it was like Roman times.
That's
It was disgusting.
hilarious.
It was horrible. All right, if nudism was the norm, there would probably be a lot more different types of makeup.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so true. Way more foundation.
Well, I mean, think of all the other body parts that might get makeup applied.
Way more bulk supply of makeup.
Yeah.
We will never be truly
Show off that testicle cleavage.
We will we will never be truly in the same spot twice due to how the Earth moves and the solar system moves. It's true.
It's true.
Makes sense.
If you guys want to see something crazy, I don't know. I have no idea where this animation is. I saw it one time that shows our sun barreling through the universe and what it like with streams around the planets, like what it looks like. Like we're not only just moving around the sun is moving.
Right.
So it's like this intergalactic spaceship pulling us through the universe.
And not only that, intergalactic spaceship with that's on top of even bigger spaceship, which is the Milky Way.
Right. Just like
crazy,
Yeah.
trippy. Okay.
Your sports must be really boring if you need half-naked women on the sideline to keep people's attention.
Yeah, touche. Well, that is interesting because I feel like football is one of the least boring sports, and basketball. Well, okay, basketball has cheerleaders, but baseball doesn't, and it's by far the most boring sport.
It's true.
Golfing also is very boring. So chess is also.
But there's
boring.
no like half-naked women.
So maybe actually it's the opposite.
Maybe.
I think the most exciting sports have the half-naked women.
It's true.
It's science. Okay. So the less you touch your mouse to do things on the computer, the more you look like a professional.
It's true.
I feel like that's true.
I have that one in here. During a nuclear explosion, there's a certain distance of the radius where all the frozen supermarket pizzas are cooked to perfection.
Well, that's really funny. That's a good point.
Well, millions died today, but good news.
Listen, it's DiGiorno.
There's a lot of pizza
But DiGiorno was
ready to
cooked
go,
just right.
and we're going to play a game called Delivery or DiGiorno.
That's really funny. That's really funny. A toilet is an elaborate adapter to connect an ass to a sewer pipe.
That's so true. The Cybertruck, for those of you that don't know, Tesla has has shown a new truck you can now pre-order for the low cost of $100 and soon to be much more dollars. The Cybertruck designs actually makes a lot of sense if you realize that Elon went for a shape that is easy to render for the simulation we're living in, and thus will be able to drive faster.
So true. That's amazing. On that same stream a little bit, lamps in video games
Oh my gosh.
use real electricity.
I love
That's
that
a cool
one. I think
thought.
that one just needs to sit out there and linger for a second because
Yeah, that's a really cool thought.
someone calculated how much energy would be saved if Google changed their page from white to black. It's a significant amount of electricity that would be saved
That's interesting.
because there would be less
Yeah.
pixels that need to
Right.
light up.
Huh.
Yeah.
You got anything else? Any other good ones you
Oh,
want to
dude,
throw
I
out
have
there?
tons. But there was a couple that I was.
Okay, I got one. Everyone can be a sword swallower at least once.
It's so true.
Hmm.
Spicy wings are the absolute pinnacle of human evolution. You are eating the wings of a bird that a bird uses to fly away from a predator covered in the chemical that spicy plants use as a defense mechanism.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Pavlov probably thought about feeding his dog every time someone rang a bell.
Oh, I love
I'm sure.
that.
That's he was
I think about it when a bell rings. He had to constantly been thinking
Yeah.
about it. Oh my gosh. If Eminem's mom wanted to, she could probably make a good amount of money selling her own spaghetti sauce.
That's so good. And
Yeah.
for those of you that don't get that, look it up.
Yeah.
Google it.
Google it.
Now, this next one, I would say there is some debate because some people I feel like are really whiny and complain a lot. And there's a lot of fibro people out there. But as you get older, you're less likely to cry from physical pain and more likely to cry from emotional pain.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah. Yep. I see that.
Dying from just sitting and doing nothing is life's way of saying you've been kicked due to inactivity. That's a gaming joke.
That's funny.
Like you're not moving around. You're done.
If golf had never been invented, hailstones would probably be the size of chicken eggs instead.
So true.
That's funny.
Oh.
That's a funny one. I like that.
I really like this one, especially with this new movie coming up. If people from Star Wars universe ever come to Earth, the fact that it has deserts, rainforests, prairies, tundras, and oceans would probably be a real mind F for them. Because they always go to planets that this is the desert planet. This is the ocean planet.
Yes.
This is the forest planet. Like, those planets like that. Like,
That's funny. That's such a good point. Okay, this is the last one I got.
okay.
If a year had 364 days,
Oh, this is so good.
birthdays would fall on the same day of the week. So basically, you would have your birthday on a Monday for the rest of your life.
That would be weird. I think it would. I think right now it's more fair. Everyone kind of gets a Friday
I
and a
agree.
Saturday and a Sunday birthday
I agree.
every once in a while. And you with your revolving schedule,
Yeah.
at least you get your birthday off by chance sometimes.
Sometimes. I think it's every 6 years.
Here's the last one for me. You notice when one sock in a pair is missing, but not when both of them are.
So true. Gosh dang. I hate it when I have one sock missing. It's the most frustrating thing I've ever
But how many
experienced in my
pairs
life.
do you have missing? You have no idea.
No. No idea. No idea what.
Why would you?
Why would I?
I mean, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yep. It's very true. Very true. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to us testing normal.
Episode 40 in the bag.
In the bag. Guys, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Twitch,
Stitcher.
and tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. We're
Ooh,
very.
and come watch this game. I think
we're gonna be gaming
is it
maybe soon.
tomorrow night. Play some
I
Portal.
hope so.
Portal 2,
I'd like to.
maybe.
Or Tuesday night.
Or did you say Tuesday night?
Yeah.
I don't
Wait.
remember what night you said.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
We'll
guys.
figure it out,
it out. But guys, we love you all. Hope you're having a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
All right,
Peace out.
Peace out.